Good morning, everyone. I'm Daniela Pringle. Today, we're reporting on 2 peer-reviewed studies detailing the risks and benefits of co-sleeping with your infant, how safe it is, and what experts recommend. The World Health Organization and the United Nations Children's Funds both encourage the practice of rooming in, which is when the mother and the baby are kept together in the same room. There are a multitude of ways for mothers and infants to room in. These include placing the baby in a standalone cot next to the mother's bed, attaching a sidecar crib to the mother's own bed, or co-sleeping with the infant. Co-sleeping is defined as parents and children sleeping on the same bed together, and there is much controversy surrounding the practice. Some public health officials even warned that it may increase the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, which means SIDS. In 2005, the American Academy of Pediatrics released a statement discouraging the practice of co-sleeping altogether. Yet, one report shows that as many as 9% of African American and 20.9% of Asian American families co-sleep with their infants, while only 7.2% of Caucasian families reported doing the same. This demonstrates many differing opinions on the topic in the United States. According to Matlock, Carr, and Ward of the International Journal of Childbirth Education, studies show that families report a feeling of closeness and comfort when co-sleeping with their infant. Parents also claim that the practice of co-sleeping helps them bond with their children. This is especially the case for parents who may not spend as much time with their children due to divorce or a busy work schedule. The peer-reviewed study also finds that mothers who breastfeed are more likely to co-sleep with their baby and breastfeed for a longer period of time. Matlock, Carr, and Ward's meta-analysis also considers socioeconomic factors. They cite one study which shows a greater prevalence of co-sleeping among lower-income families, possibly due to factors such as a limited number of bedrooms. However, one peer-reviewed study published by Das, Sanker, Agarwal, and Paul of the International Journal of Pediatrics found it difficult to establish whether the practice of co-sleeping leads to an increase in breastfeeding or if breastfeeding leads to co-sleeping. Das, Sanker, Agarwal, and Paul conducted their meta-analysis utilizing the generic inverse variance and applying it to a total of 21 separate studies. The same study finds little evidence indicating a direct correlation between co-sleeping and sudden infant death syndrome. Many societies in which co-sleeping is common, which have a low rate of SIDS. However, co-sleeping is also common in those nations with high rates of SIDS. So, what can parents conclude from this? Before we discuss the finding of the studies, we'll turn to our field correspondent who spoke to members of the community on the topic of co-sleeping.
Okay, what's your name?
Julie Love.
What's your age?
I'm 50 years old.
Where are you from?
I'm from California.
And what's your occupation?
I'm an office coordinator in the radiology department.
Do you know what co-sleeping is?
I do.
What would be the definition of co-sleeping in your own words?
When you have an infant or a child that you allow sleep in your bed with you.
Are you for or against co-sleeping?
I'm against co-sleeping.
And why do you feel this way?
Because I feel that if you have your child sleep with you, it's not teaching them independence.
Do you have any more to add on that?
I have personal experiences with it.
Okay, and that was the next question. Do you have any personal experience?
I do. And it wasn't that I wanted my child to sleep with me, but she slept with me until she was 12. And yeah, she was not very independent. And she still isn't to this day.
So that's the next question. Do you have any do you feel that there is any long-term effects mentally and physically with co-sleeping with your infant?
Yes. I don't feel that they can learn to be on their own. They rely more on the parent because they're constantly with them.
Okay. Do you have any alternatives to co-sleeping that you believe in?
Making them sleep in their bed from maybe 6 weeks of age, their crib. Put them in their crib to nap. You know.
Just don't allow them to be with you?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, what is your name?
My name is Mike.
How old are you?
I am 50 years old.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Plantation, Florida.
And what do you do as an occupation?
I am self-employed. I own a lawn and landscaping company.
Okay, do you know what co-sleeping with your infant is?
No, I do not.
Co-sleeping is when you sleep with your own infant in your own bed. Or
Okay.
you sleep with them in the same vicinity, like a mattress or in their crib together or anything such.
Okay.
Now that you know what co-sleeping is, are you for or against it?
For the most part, against it. I think sometimes it's probably necessary, but for the most part, it, for the independence factor of the child, they should be sleeping on their own.
So you feel that way because you would rather them be more independent?
Yes, and yeah, I guess that basically is the best way to sum it up.
Is there any other reasons why you feel this way?
No, not really. I mean, no, that's about it.
Do you have any personal experience with co-sleeping?
Yes, with having two children, there was always at least one, for various reasons, coming in, climbing into bed, in the middle of the night or wee hours of the morning. So it was a pretty common occurrence.
Yes, sir. Do you feel that there is any long-term damage mentally and physically with co-sleeping with your infant?
Well, I don't have any personal knowledge on it, but I would assume or think that co-sleeping for longer periods of time, over years and years and years, would probably have the child might develop into a more shy, reserved, maybe not a very outgoing person, but that's just my own opinion.
So you feel that their personalities would differ from someone that slept in their crib as a younger age?
Yeah, maybe not so much at crib sleeping ages, but as they,
Become older?
yeah, and they can climb in and out of bed on their own and, run down the hall to mom and dad's bed versus, crib age versus bed age, so
Yes,
to
sir.
speak.
Do you feel there's an alternative to co-sleeping that you agree with?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I can't really think of an alternative as other than them sleeping in the same room with you, which I don't think is a healthy way to grow and develop. Because at some point it has to stop, and if it gets too far along in age, then it's the longer it goes, the harder it is to stop and
Yes.
change. So
Well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, what's your name?
Elaine McManus,
How old are you?
43,
Where are you from?
New York.
And what's your occupation?
I'm an optician.
Okay. Do you know what co-sleeping is?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what co-sleeping is with your
No.
infant?
No.
Okay, co-sleeping is when you sleep in the same vicinity or bed as your infant.
Oh, okay.
What would be a definition of co-sleeping in your own words, if you had to word it?
Allowing my child to sleep in my bed.
Okay. Are you for or against co-sleeping?
Against.
Why do you feel this way?
Well, because a child should be in their own bed at all times so that they can get used to that environment.
Do you have any personal experience with co-sleeping?
I do. My son has slept with me for a long time.
Can you explain more on that?
Well, it was my firstborn, so I was very attached, so I let him sleep in my bed.
Okay. Do you feel there is long-term damage mentally and physically with co-sleeping?
Possibly, depending on when the child stops sleeping in the bed with the parent.
Okay. Do you have an alternative that you approve of rather than co-sleeping?
Maybe you can have the child in the room next to you in their own bed and then slowly move them into their own bedroom.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Back to you, Miss Pringle.
Thank you, Ms. Lackey. As you can see, many members of the community feel very strongly about the subject. So what did the studies conclude? Well, both studies cite drinking, smoking, and drug use as factors which consistently increase the rate of SIDS in conjunction with co-sleeping. This is especially true of mothers who are using these substances and co-sleeping with their infant. On the topic of co-sleeping in child development, neither study decisively proved a negative or positive impact on the child. However, the International Journal of Childbirth Education did cite one other study which suggests that infants who sleep in separate rooms fall asleep sooner and wake less often than those who sleep in the same room as their parents. But, as Matlock, Carr, and Ward point out, this is not universally supported. Ultimately, there are a few clear answers regarding the potential risks and benefits of co-sleeping with your infant. Both studies indicate that co-sleeping alone does not increase the risk of SIDS. However, a combination of other factors such as drinking and smoking in conjunction with co-sleeping has been shown to increase the probability of SIDS. It is up to the individual parents to decide which is best and safest for their baby. Parents interested in co-sleeping may choose to speak with their child's pediatrician before deciding whether co-sleeping is right for them and their family. Thank you for tuning in.